Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of My Collection, and today we're going to take a look at vintage service station stuff, and this stuff comes from within the family. So if you've been following along on this series, you'll notice that the first one I released was on these lanterns, and right up above these lanterns are some old license plates. Some of them are old anyways. Now these came from different areas of the country, and I've picked these up at estate sales or different things that are real cheap, but they're from all over. I'd love to have some from all over the US and maybe even out of the country like Australia or the UK. It'd be pretty neat to have a variety. So I know some of you may know this, but Sarah's grandfather owned a Mobil gas station or service station in Rocky, Oklahoma, and we acquired many of the contents that were from that service station. Now, her grandfather passed away suddenly in 1967, and then most of the contents of the service station were moved out into several different barns that were on the family property. And they just kind of sat out there till probably about 2017. They had a series of break-ins out there where people were stealing stuff, and so it was decided by the family to go ahead and sell the land and a lot of the contents that were inside there. There was stuff that we didn't have room for, like old fuel pumps and oil pumps and big, huge signs and stuff like that. But we did keep a few items from the service station, and her dad has kept some items from the service station along with Sarah's sister. But many of these hubcaps that are on the wall are from vehicles that he would have worked on at the time, but they also could have been family vehicles or friends' vehicles or something like that. But we dug a lot of them out of the old barns and decided to use them as a display here in the garage. And then others of them are just hubcaps that Sarah's dad acquired through helping people move that were a neighbor of his or something. And so Sarah's dad had a lot of these hubcaps going along a fence. And so I took quite a few of them that are duplicates of what he had. So this pump handle right here came from one of the gas pumps that was out there, and it does have the full hose and everything. And it's pretty neat. Now they had a bunch of different pumps out there, and there were numerous pump handles as they switched pumps throughout the years. And I just kept one of them. The other ones we sold. But these hubcaps are pretty neat, like this hubcap right here. And if you have any knowledge, I would love to hear what you might know about it. But this just says V8. So I don't know if that's from an old Ford or what. This is an old Ford hubcap there. And I've got some Chevy ones. Just some different little Chevrolet one down there and an old Dodge one. So we've got some different hubcaps along through here. Really old Ford right there and another Chevrolet one. But there's quite a few of these hubcaps, and they're pretty neat. You can see a little horse on that one right there. You can see Imperial, and then down on the bottom Plymouth and Pontiac right there. So there's a bunch of different ones. Here's a Buick right here. You got a Cougar down on the bottom, Volkswagen, and then a Thunderbird. This one's pretty neat. I'm not really sure what that goes to. We looked it up and I have forgotten. So many of these we had to look up because we weren't sure what they were for. But there's a lot of different items here, and we have several of these. These were basically racks that they kept hoses on and belts on. And many of those were rotten. They got old or something like that, and the labels fell off. We do have a lot of the ones that don't have labels, but we sold a lot of them that don't have labels. So these all have the labels on here on the belts and the hoses. And we even down here, I believe, We have some of the service part catalogs that'll tell you what belt goes and what hose goes to what car. But it's pretty neat. We have several of these racks, and then Sarah's father kept several of the racks as well. And like I said, there's quite a few of these hubcaps. We found this out in the barn, just that would hold the air filter, like one of these actually. One of those air filters. Now these are brand new air filters in the box that they sold in the service station. We sold a ton of these to collectors that were gonna just basically use them as displays, whether they were in a restaurant or maybe they were displaying it on a car that they show or something like that. And the same thing with these oil filters through here. And they were using those on old cars and trucks, and we had tractor ones as well. So these are actually cartridges. So it's pretty cool that we kept one of each kind that they sold. This is primarily what they had, was the Hastings and Wicks, and then we found that Fram right there, but I'm not sure if that's one that he sold or not. And as far as oil cans, man, we've got the oil cans. This is what we have on display, but we sold a ton. We're talking boxes upon boxes upon boxes of brand new oil cans just sitting out in a barn. And so we sold a ton of those. I had a huge display here in the garage where I sold them. I sold them to antique dealers. I sold them to pickers. I sold them to all sorts of people. Maybe some people wanted to start a collection and they'd never seen these things before, or at least this many kinds. But it was a Mobil station, so that's what you see mostly. What's interesting is these are newer ones, and Sarah's father didn't know how these were acquired. After the service station closed due to her grandfather passing away, another service station was built and operated by the family in Rocky, Oklahoma. That building is still standing, but the service station has long closed. And what I'm thinking is that maybe these cans came from the newer service station, because these have barcodes on them right there. So that's definitely newer. Now all of these cans have oil in them. And like this wheel bearing lubricant, it has never been opened. It's still brand new, but we've got different ball bearings, different brake fluids. Here we got outboard oils. Then they've used some of that, but we've got power steering fluid, brake fluid, liquid solder, different little parts and stuff. This turtle wax, it's still got the wax in there. It's never been opened. Engine conditioner here, it's never been opened. Now they sold other brands of oil in the store, but Mobil is what they carried most, since it was a Mobil station. So got a lot of different ones that are throughout the years of Mobil. Another one that they sold a lot of was this Champlin, which is an Oklahoma oil company that is no longer around. These are all tin cans right here, and they're in really good shape. We still have a lot of those actually, they're just not on display. These are composite, kind of a cardboardy material. But you can see a lot of the Champlin there, DX, Kendall, Phillips 66. Like I said, there is a lot of the Mobil. And I do believe that Sarah's father has some brands that we don't have on display here. There just wasn't very many of them, and so he was wanting to keep them. So, but we've got wiper blades that are brand new in the box, headlights that were brand new in the box. These were all brand new. These are gas caps and radiator caps and stuff like that. These headlights were in boxes like this as well, but for some reason the beetles loved the boxes. So literally when we picked them up, the headlights fell through the boxes and they just instantly disintegrated. they looked like this, but like the beetles had ate the underside of them and they just fell through. So this is the only one we have that's in the box. We do have some more caps, a few more headlights, I believe. You can see a top for a distributor cap. And then of course, we've got a bunch of these matches that are like that from the service station. And we do have some paperwork and stuff like that. We sold the cash register from the service station that had checks in it that had been written that were bad. So it did have some interesting things in there. Like I said, we just didn't, no one had anything to display it. But there's different things like an old Coke machine that Sarah's sister has and stuff like that. You know, just kind of reach in there and grab your own type Coke cooler. But we kept some of the old signs and stuff, and then Sarah's dad has some of them. This is a display. We had a lot of displays, but it's a kind of a problem of trying to find where you can hang them, and so you only have so much room in your garage. But this is full of brand new of this world's best stop leak Alumaseal, and you know, this was all dusty. All these things were sitting out in a barn and were dusty. Oh, look at this. Now these old oil cans, you could take a can opener and just pop one side and the other side and pour it in there through a funnel, but this was really the best way. You can see that sharp piece right there. You just basically take that and then ram it down in the side of it, and then that's your spout. That's what that is. So that's pretty cool how oil cans used to be. They weren't always those plastic pour quarts that you see now. But one of the other things that they had were Coke coolers and Coke machines and stuff like that. So they sold all sorts of sodas. Now these sodas were in cardboard boxes and stuff like that. The cardboard boxes were eaten away by the beetles as well. Surprisingly, the beetles didn't like any of these things that are in the oil filters or the air filters. But we did keep one of each kind of bottle that we could find that wasn't broken. There were a few brands that they had where the bottle was broken that we didn't keep, or it was just really worn down or something like that. But all this stuff had to be washed out. These bottles were empty. They had soda in them at one time, and the tops popped right off because of the heat out there. And then different spiders and mice and stuff like that crawled inside and died. So one of the things to display these so you don't get dirt inside, just take some clear Scotch tape the top right there, and then you don't have to worry about cleaning the inside ever again, and you don't notice the tape. I mean, you wouldn't think that I have tape on these, but we've got old Coca-Cola ones. Now these are ones from different areas of the country, and so we kept one of each, and the families kept other ones too as well. But we got Dr. Pepper, Pepsi. Some of these you may not have heard of. Delaware Punch. If you've ever heard of any of these or you've tasted them, let me know, because a lot of these I haven't. I think I recently tried one of these vest ones, but here's a quality Maw Cherry. Now Frosty's still around. You can see those. Here's a Suncrest. We got RC, which is still around. Vest, Knee High, you still see. How about Sundrop? That's something that you still see, but the label is different. And this is Golden Cola. Here's an old Mountain Dew right here. They kind of brought back this retro bottle right here. And of course, 7-Up is still around. And the new grape soda. That was something that Sarah's father liked drinking a whole lot of. But it's kind of neat just to see the different bottles and how they were made and how they feel in your hand. You know, they designed each bottle to feel differently in your hand so that you could recognize the bottle just by the feel. That's one of the iconic things about Coca-Cola is you hold a Coca-Cola bottle and you know you're holding a Coca-Cola bottle. Some of these others that are just plain, you have to read the label. You can't tell from just feeling it. But if you're an avid drinker, maybe you know the others that are here. But we got that old battery sign there. One thing that you will notice is they also owned an old general store. And so prior to that service station ever closing out, the general store closed out. Sarah's father ran the general store, and then he just decided he didn't want to do it anymore. But this was from an old metal cabinet that was out there, and it was in a storm shelter. When we moved that metal cabinet, it literally fell apart in the truck on the way home. And so I saved those aluminum signs right there. And then we also have a lot of the old greeting cards right here. These are brand new, never used greeting cards, and they're for various occasions. I think there's some Christmas and Valentine's and birthday, anniversary, maybe like housewarming gifts, stuff like that. They're various ones. So it's pretty neat. Those I'm actually going to kind of give away for donations on Patreon or something, but it's pretty neat. Those are all pre-67 for sure. And I think maybe some newer ones that came from the house are in there, like some thank you cards right there or something. And these are just old magazines that were sent to the service station while you were having your car worked on. You would read some of those. So we've sold a lot of them, and that's what we have left. A lot of those are rodeo ones and stuff like that. This was Sarah's grandfather's uniform. Now, he had quite a few of those, and we kept one. Surprisingly, when we sold these, we had a young girl that bought them. And there is the pants that's underneath. But we kept the one that had his name on it. But the rest of them we sold. And there's a poster that would have been one that hung up in the store and was folded up. They had a lot of makeshift signs, like they would get like a movie poster from the next town to the north and then write an advertisement on it. Now these are just old magazine articles of different trucks and stuff like that. Now these are magazines that her dad had, and so they're not necessarily older, as you can see from this Datsun and the Toyota. And by older, yeah, they're older Datsun, but I mean from this service station era here. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to show you this collection that we have in the garage of the old service station stuff. And it's pretty cool. It's a piece of history. I enjoy old cars. Sarah enjoys old cars. So we have these displayed because it is a piece of her family history, and it's not something that we plan on getting rid of. But out here in this garage, we have several collections like the tags. One thing that I didn't show you guys was this Coleman stovetop right here. Folds out and you can cook with it. But over here in this corner, we kind of got a Star Wars collection. This is Sarah's collection, actually. As a kid, I had Star Wars stuff, but when I went in the military, I sold everything. Kind of regret it, really, because a lot of that is collector items type stuff. But these things right here, she purchased years ago thinking that they would be collector's items. So she used to live out in the DC area, so she got that at the Smithsonian. Here's one from KB Toys. I don't think there's any of those KB Toys around anymore. But these are just different things. This one makes a sound. And then, of course, this is her sword. If you saw or her lightsaber, shouldn't call it a sword, that she had for Halloween and her mask. But we have some different things like these different rocks. That's a clam fossil. These are just things I pick up if I've been out fishing or hunting. This is interesting. There's some different fossils right back there. This is a piece of a meteorite. I had to take this into the Sam Noble Museum of Natural History, and they evaluated it and said, yeah, this came from outer space. It's not very big, but it's surprising how heavy it is. And this is some natural mica. It just kind of flakes off of here. It's a rock, but it's got that mica in there. It's actually what they used to make this globe right over there that I was showing you if you watched the lantern episode that I did. But this is kind of just a process that we're still trying to put things up out here in the garage. We've got some different things. And there's a dartboard here. If you've got any stickers that you want to send me, I'll post them up on this board. The goal is to fill this board. So I've got this lamp that I've made here out of an old fishing pail, a minnow bucket. So it's pretty cool, turn it into a lamp. But anyways, this is our collection. Mainly just wanted to show you the service station items here that are from her family. And it does have a history here, so it's pretty cool. We do have other items that are from the service station that aren't on display, like some different licenses and tax information, ledgers from the station, things like that. Not really a way to display those out here, but this isn't all of it, but it is a good chunk of it. And like I said, different members of the family have even more, and even some of her extended family have even more that are either in Rocky or other areas of Oklahoma that wanted a piece of it because they remembered the service station. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of my collection. I hope you enjoyed it. These items are really special to Sarah and I, especially since they're family and especially since we know the history of it. These are something that we will always keep and always treasure. But I want to know, what kind of things do you collect? We always love looking at other people's collections and antiques and stuff like that. It may not be something that we collect or have room for, but we still love to hear about them or see them. So what kind of things do you collect? Leave a comment below. I'm interested to know what you're like and what your interests are. If you liked this episode, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. I will have 2 more episodes of this series that are coming out next Thursday and the Thursday after that. So stay tuned, because the very last one is going to lead into a totally different series that I'm going to do involving what I collect. And this might be completely different than what most any of you guys collect. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.